بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum, my sons and daughters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we are going to continue, and this is going to be lesson 8 on the ahkam of Hajj, manasik al-Hajj. For those who are studying Hausa, okay. So we reached to this ruling. We completed the ruling number 12, and we were going to start this. So conditions of Hajj. When does Hajj become wajib? The first Hajj, it becomes wajib. When does it become wajib? We call it Hajjul Islam or Hajjatul Islam or Hajjul Islam. So Shara'at Wujub Hajjatul, not Hajjatul Islam. Hajjatul Islam is like Maulana. So this Hajjatul Islam. So we spoke about the reaching the age of puberty, and now we are going to discuss the remaining conditions that makes Hajj an obligation upon you. So basically, Hajj is obligation as a general rule, legislation on every Muslim. But then the activation is only after these conditions are fulfilled. So what are these conditions? We mentioned reaching the age of puberty or adolescence. Now we have al-aql. فلا يجب الحج على المجنون. So a person loses his mind are of two types. One is the one who loses his mind intermittently, okay, and one who loses his mind, khalas, gone. Intermittently, for example, like there's somebody maybe whenever he sees his mind, he sees his wife, he becomes crazy. Or whenever she sees her husband, becomes crazy. So so loses her mind totally. And crazy means and not aware of what's going on. So, for example, hypothetically, so these people, and whenever the husband goes, she regains her intellect. So we will tell her that whenever your husband travels or whenever your wife travels away for like the season of Hajj, then you can go for Hajj. So whenever the person who has a intermittent absence of intellect, this person can, if in the season of Hajj and all the conditions of Hajj were there, and he had his intellect sound in that season, then it becomes obligatory upon him to or her to perform the Hajj. فلا يجب الحج على المجنون. Hajj is not obligatory on someone who is insane. نعم إذا كان جنونه إدواريا. And yes, if the insanity was intermittent, that it comes and goes, وفي دور إفاقته بالإتيان بمناسك الحج, and he was able to perform the Hajj, manasik al-Hajj, and the prerequisites of Hajj in the time of his sanity, when his intellect is sound. Then he needs to perform the Hajj. Even though the entire year is insane, his intellect is lost, but in that period specifically, maybe he was like irfani person, hyperbolic irfani, he was crazy. And once the season of Hajj came and he was told that, oh, Hajj is coming, oh really? Suddenly something happened and some kind of epiphany or something like that happened, and he regained his sanity just hearing the Hajj. Now he's okay. So once he comes back from Hajj, back to the sanity. So anyhow, these are just like hypothetical examples. So yes, if he was able to perform the Hajj in that period of sanity, and that his sanity period was in that period of Hajj, not just Hajj, even the prerequisites of Hajj, like traveling, like buying the ticket, like all those things pre-Hajj, like prerequisites. He was able to. So, نعم, however, إذا كان جنونه إدواريا, if his insanity was intermittent or periodic, وفي دور إفاقته, and in the time of his regaining of the sanity, he was able to perform the manasik al-Hajj بالإتيان بمناسك الحج ومقدماتها غير الحاصلة, the prerequisites which were not achieved. So he can now get those prerequisites. وكان مستطيعا, and he was able to perform the Hajj. Istita'a, we are going to, is the next ruling. Ability. What is the definition of ability? So he was able, he was pure, he reached the age of purity, and all those kind of things are there, except for the sanity. Sanity is gone in this period. وجب عليه الحاج. The Hajj will become obligated upon him. وإن كان مجنونا في بقية الأوقات, even though he was insane in the remaining time of the year. كما أنه لو علم بمصادفة دور جنونه لأيام الحج دائما. Or let's say this was opposite type of irfani, like maybe satanic irfani type. Once the season of Hajj becomes, he becomes crazy. People, they told him, the season of Hajj is here. Really? Lost his mind. Khalas, finish. Okay? So he's like a satanic irfani. He doesn't know. When you tell them it's Salah time, he becomes crazy. Come fast holy month, becomes crazy. He doesn't want to do this. So he becomes like in reality crazy, not acting. Acting, will go to Jahannam. We are talking about removal of the obligation. So there's no obligation if he really becomes insane in the days of Hajj. Kamalo alima. And no, this is something unique case. Daiman, like always, every time, whenever the Hajj season comes, he becomes crazy. He loses his mind. Crazy means insane. Wajabat alayhi al-istinaba. So he has knowledge here that when the days of Hajj will come, he will lose his mind. Maybe he'll enter the episodes of hyperbolic irfani feelings or something like that. كما لو أنه علم بمصادفة دور جنونه, as if he had the knowledge that the period of insanity encounters the day of Hajj every time. So he has all the ability. Before the Hajj, is able to, money, capacity, puberty, everything is there. But just he knows that in these days of Hajj, he becomes crazy, loses his mind. وجبت عليه الاستنابة له حال إفاقته. It is obligated upon him to appoint a representative who could perform the Hajj on his behalf. When will he appoint? While he's crazy? No. While he is sane in his mind, in his intellectual state, at that time, he can tell this guy, see, when the Hajj time comes, I'll become crazy. So if that happens, please perform the Hajj on my behalf. This is my money. This is my power of attorney and authority. Then the third condition is freedom. Of course, freedom. Islam freed every human gradually, obviously. So there's no slave in our time, alhamdulillah, to Islam. And after Islam, other nations, they started freeing their nations. So Islam started the beginning. The first axe was striked for the freedom was in Islam. So there's no slaves. So say the Sistani removes the rules which were ancient in the time where there was slavery and there were people that had slaves, where Islam relieved the slave from basic things like kafarat, penalties. You do this, you break your fast intentionally, khalas. I break my fast, the slave goes away. Yes. So see, the value of slave like 10, 20, $30,000 was brought down to a simple eating something while you are fasting. Devaluation. Otherwise, if you feed 60 poor, how much is 60 poor feeding? $60? Let's say $120, $2 per kilo flour to one each poor, 60 poor, $120. Slaves, which used to cost about $10,000, $20,000, for example, were brought to the level of equal to $120. That means get rid of your slave. If you don't have slave, then you give penalty. But if you have slave, so most of the penalties were atqu raqaba, first thing. And no, not just atqu raqaba, raqaba mu'mina. So there was an incentive with the slaves that let me become mu'min, let me become a good believer, because once my master messes up in his fast or in his something oath or whatever, I'll be getting the privilege of becoming free. So this was like slavery was brought so easy. The slaves, I mean, to be eliminated, slaves to be freed by all basics, just to go against their penal, against your oath, against your vow, you are free. So that is how Islam brought it so easy to free the people. And the rule has had wisdom in it. People, they say, why did Islam just cut the slavery? Yeah, it cut the slavery. But then the people would not understand or listen. It was a gradual, a lot of things were prohibited gradually. So there was a gradual phase of freeing. And finally it was done, alhamdulillah. And then in 60s, or I don't know, in 40s, the other nations, they started freeing their slaves. Even there is still now there's modern day slavery. They're not literally slave, but they're dealt like slaves, people in some countries. Anyhow, so al-istita'a, ability. So in ability, we look at three things. Time. Do you have enough time? Or health, and the security. So remember three things: time, health, and security. Obviously, the wealth as well. Because if you don't have money, you have time, and you have health, and you have security. But those days, maybe you don't have money, but you have your camel, so you can ride on your camel and just go for Hajj. So السعة الأول السعة في الوقت, time. That means you need to have enough time to perform the obligatory acts, to travel. But let's say you don't have enough time. You have basically 2 days only you can go for Hajj. If you go from Europe, you need 1 day just for traveling. So you'll arrive there and you'll be so tight that you might miss one of the pillars of Hajj. Finish. Kiss your Hajj goodbye. So therefore, you need to have enough time, not to do rush. No. And then your flight gets delayed, your flight gets canceled, then you miss the Hajj. No. If you don't have that much time, you're not able to go perform the Hajj. السعة في الوقت, enough time. ومعنى ذلك, and that means وجود القدر الكافي من الوقت, enough sufficient time you have للذهاب إلى الأماكن المقدسة, to travel, okay, and to arrive in those holy places. Holy places meaning Makkah and the Arafat, Muzdalifah, Mina, because these are obligatory parts of Hajj. So arrive in these holy places, والقيام بالأعمال الواجبة فيها, and to perform the obligatory acts in it. If you don't have that much time, remember we said how much is the minimum time? 9th of Dhul Hajj, you need to be in Makkah before Dhuhr. So that is day number 1. And that means you have to do your Umrah early in the morning. So before Dhuhr, you can go to Arafat. Then number 2, 10th, you are supposed to be there. 11th, you are supposed to be there. 12th, Dhuhr, you leave. So the minimum of 4 days you need to have. And if you have this 4 days in crunch and so tight, that means you barely get proper 3 days and you will miss wajibat. So, وَعَلَيْهِ فَلَا يَجِبُ الْحَجِّ. And based on that, Hajj is not obligatory. إذا كان حصول المال أو توفر الشرائط. If the acquiring the wealth or fulfilling or the availability of the other conditions, wealth and health and all the other conditions, في وقت لا يسع للذهاب إليها. So this أماكن المقدسة, you got money, you got time, but your time is very short, very narrowed. It does not allow you to go to these holy places, وأداء مناسك الحج, and perform the manasik of Hajj. أو أنه يسع. No, there is time. Okay? ولكن بمشقة شديدة لا تتحمل عادة. So, but yes, you have time, but there'll be so much difficulty and hardship. Sometimes you will be exhausted. You will never be able to fulfill, like someone coming from Australia or United States and the jet lag issues. You come and you arrive in the airport and you go for Umrah, and you are like in a mood of sleeping and you really need to sleep. That sleeping is bombarding on your head. Okay. And you need to perform the wajibat. So that becomes a complicated, and then you will be exhausted, you will become sick, and that sickness which you cannot tolerate. ولكن بمشقة شديدة. So if you have very narrow time, you can perform, but it is done under extreme like difficulty and hardship, which is intolerable normally. لا تتحمل عادة. وحكم ذلك من حيث وجوب التحفظ على المال إلى السنة القادمة. Okay, so if I have time, but I have this very short time, tight time, what should I do? I'm going to be exhausted. I need to go perform Hajj. They said, no. You keep this money, وجوب التحفظ على المال إلى السنة القادمة, until the upcoming year. وعدمه. So should I secure the wealth or no? I can use my wealth. So this ruling is going to be presented in ruling number 39. We are still in ruling number post 12. So in ruling number 39, the detail of this ruling. So let's say if I'm not able to, I have to keep this wealth. It's obligatory upon me to keep this wealth, or I can use it. This is going to be explained in ruling number 39. وحكم ذلك من حيث وجوب. So now I have very tight time. So the ruling of this situation is it obligatory upon me to secure the wealth until the upcoming year, or it is not obligatory upon me? يظهر مما يأتي في مسألة this outline. So it will be it will be presented in ruling number 39. So that's number one, the time. Number two, after the wealth, obviously. صحة البدن وقوته. So the health of the body and the strength. You're healthy, but you don't have strength to perform the rituals of Hajj. Sometimes it's too exhausting. فلو لم يقدر لمرض أو هرم على قطع المسافة إلى الأماكن المقدسة، أو لم يقدر على البقاء فيها بمقدار أداء أعمالها لشدة الحر مثلا. So if someone was not able to, due to the sickness or elderly age, على قطع المسافة إلى الأماكن المقدسة, he was not able to travel to the holy places where it is obligatory to travel. Oh, no, he was able to travel, but he was not able to stay in those holy places. Arafat from Dhuhr to Maghrib, Muzdalifah that night, Mina 2 nights. So, أو لم يقدر على البقاء فيها. He was not able to stay in those places for the length of the performance of the duties or obligations of the Hajj. Why? Due to the severe heat. Like nowadays, the more we are coming in the summer, next year is going to be more hot in summer. the Hajj. So reward greater. Don't say, oh no, that and wait for the cool system. No. If you are able to go, your reward, you're guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do you have to be worried about this? Khalas. So, but if a person was weak and he was not able to tolerate the severe heat, so either he is not able to travel to these places, or no, he is able to travel, but he's not able to stay longer due to the severe of the heat, for example. لشدة الحر مثلا. He cannot perform the duties due to the severe heat. أو كان ذلك حرجيا عليه. Or no, it was a cause of difficulty and hardship for him to either travel or either to stay. He can travel, but it's going to be causing difficulty and hardship. Remember, many times intolerable difficulty and hardship. In the previous ruling, we said, or no, the heat is going to cause him to be in a very difficult situation, difficulty and hardship. لم يجب عليه الحج مباشرة. Therefore, if he's able to, capable in everything, wealth, but body and strength is a problem, then it is not obligatory upon him to go Hajj personally. What do you mean by personally? ولكن تجب عليه بالاستنابة على ما سيجيء تفصيله في المسألة 63. So, you don't have to go personally. So what should I do? Let someone go on your behalf. And this istinaba, niyabat, representation, performing Hajj in representation, is going to be explained in rule number 63. So that means if somebody is capable of all the conditions, except one condition, in some cases, yes, Hajj is obligatory, but I can't travel, or but I don't have this, but I don't have that. One condition missing, let someone else do Hajj on your behalf. Finish. Your Hajj will be completed. You don't have to go there then. So there are details in this ruling of representation, which is going to be discussed in ruling 63. تخلية السرب ويقصد بها أن يكون الطريق مفتوحا ومأمونا. Security of the road, security of the journey. So the journey is secured. How? Those days, many times people will come from land and there will be not caravans. Sometimes when you go with caravan, you are safe. Because when bandits come and the looters come, you are all together, you can defend the whole caravan. And they would put guards also with the caravan. But then there will be some people, they will come individually from their hometown. There is no caravan like the early days of Islam. Somebody will come from this tribe, will be alone, that tribe. So the bandits would loot them. Okay, the looters will loot these people. So therefore, if somebody is planning to come alone in those days, okay, and there was no security, or no, nowadays also, let's say you are coming by road, you will be passing by, let's say you're coming from Europe to Mecca, and you decide to go by car, but you have to pass by, let's say, Syrian territories or those Turkish territories or those zones where there is war going on. So that's not safe. And that's the only way you can go for Hajj. You can't afford ticket. You have your car. You can just afford the gas. You cannot afford tickets and this and that. And when you arrive Makkah, just sleep in the car, because I've seen many people, they don't go to the hotel. They just sleep in their car. Sometimes they have these wagons, you see, and they just drop the seats and it's their bedroom. And what about the restrooms and toilet? MashaAllah, Haram has packed outside of the Haram so many toilets and so many restrooms. And what about the food? Restaurants are there. So sometimes the best economical way for performing Hajj is take your station wagon, the car, and just go, and that's your bedroom, that's everything, and then you just only have to spend gas. So nowadays, do you know how much does the Hajj cost? It costs about $8,000 to $10,000, and it depends from where you're coming. The farther you are, the more $1,000. So, and the closer you are, the lesser. But the average is between $8,000 to $10,000, as I was informed by many of those beloved ones who have gone for Hajj this year. $8,000 to $10,000. Let's say if the gas was cheap all the way in the route from Europe till Hajj, okay? So that would be way cheaper than $8,000. You'll be spending about $2,000 to $3,000 of gas. And I'm just doing a rough calculation. Just do, if you're planning to go in your station wagon, check yourself, okay? All these logistics. It might not, sometimes it might come worse than going by plane, because you might go by countries where the petrol is so expensive. So you might regret, and your car maintenance and this and all. So I'm just giving you a hypothetical example, because people in those days when the petrol was cheap, the gas was cheap, they would go, you see. But nowadays, we don't know. I mean, where you might end up, what you might end up. So anyhow, but relatively, those days, it was cheaper just going by your car, and not to get into caravan and hassles, and just your car would be your bedroom. So, but is it secure going alone by car? That's the question here. That's the ruling here. So if you are going to pass by zones which are war zones, okay, or you are going to pass by rural areas where there are bandits, nowadays, yes. I mean, I was told in some of the countries, Arab countries, you see the car driving, if you go alone, or not Arab countries, even Pakistan, in some areas, if you travel alone by yourself in your car, kiss your car goodbye. You might end up into bike or just by foot. That is, be thankful if they don't take your shoes away also. Anyhow, so it happens a lot in Pakistan. So therefore, تخلية السرب ويقصد بها أن يكون الطريق مفتوحا ومأمونا. The road is open and secure. So the road could be closed. Yes, in COVID, the road was closed. The Hajj was closed. فلا يكون فيه مانع. So there's no obstacles, there's no barricades, there's no nothing preventing you to arrive to the miqat, the place where you enter the state of ihram. فلا يكون فيه مانع لا يمكن معه من الوصول إلى الميقات أو إلى الأراضي المقدسة. So you can easily arrive to the miqat or to the holy places. We mentioned Makkah, Muzdalifah, Arafat, where you have to perform obligatory acts of Hajj. وكذا لا يكون خطرا على النفس. Similarly, it should be secured for your soul, for your wealth, for your dignity. There are people, some days they will come Hajj alone, and there will be looters, not looters, there will be rapists on the way as well. The dignity. So the path should be secured upon your soul, upon your life, your wealth, your dignity. Okay, these three things. لا يكون خطرا على النفس أو المال أو العرض. So if it is dangerous on your health, on your wealth, on your life, on your dignity, then وإلا لم يجب الحج. Then Hajj will not be obligatory. This is while going for Hajj. What about while coming? Do I need to have security while coming back? He says, وَأَمَّا الْإِيَابِ, your return. Nowadays, you have to have your return ticket, otherwise you'll not get a visa. Okay? So, أَمَّا الْإِيَابِ, let's say you took one-way ticket or whatever reasons. So, أَمَّا الْإِيَابِ, and as for returning, فَفِيهِ تَفْصِيل, there is detail. يَأْتِي نَظِيرُهُ فِي نَفَقَةِ الْإِيَابِ. The ruling, similar ruling will be presented in ruling number 22. So what about my return? The return will be discussed in the ruling number 22, where we will be discussing about you had money to take you there, but do you have money to bring you back? That's another ruling. Like many of these, some of the countries, Afghanistan and India and Bangladesh and some of these countries, they go for Hajj and they stay there. Why? Because they're poor. They don't have jobs. Here, at least they will do the labor work. They will do something, they will earn some riyals, which are equal to dollars, and they will send to their family. So this is why you have to have your return ticket, otherwise you will not go for Hajj. So these many people, they come from Far East Asia and here and there, they just bring the visa of Hajj and just sit there and, and forget about going back to home. So وإذا عرض على المكلف بعد تلبسه بالإحرام ما يمنعه من الوصول إلى الأماكن المقدسة, after entering the state of Ihram, okay, and wearing the dress of Ihram. See, entering the state of Ihram and wearing the dress of Ihram, after these two things, something happens. Insecurity problems of security happens. Prevention happens. A flight got cancelled, which happens nowadays a lot. Okay. Flight got cancelled. Flight got delayed. They don't have any seats until after 2-3 days, and you are on a very short time for Hajj. Or let's say your visa was revoked, or your passport was cancelled, or there was a hold order on you at the airport. So you were not able to continue your journey, or you were sent back from after arriving Jeddah airport, you are in the state of Ihram. وإذا عرض على المكلف بعد تلبسه بالإحرام ما يمنعه من الوصول إلى الأماكن المقدسة, after entering the state of Ihram, if anything encounters which prevents the responsible person from reaching to the holy places, من مرض أو عدو أو نحوهما, such as sickness, became sick, or adu, enemy, ونحوهما, like any legal issues that prevent a person from traveling, or flight delays, whatever, خاصة فله أحكام خاصة. And for this case, you, after entering the state of Ihram, you encountered sickness or prevention. If sickness, it is called mahsur. You are unable to continue by yourself. Masdood, if because of the security, legal issues, enemy, whatever, that is called masdood. You are unable to continue because someone is preventing you. So mahsur means you are not able to continue. Masdood means someone is not letting you to continue. And these rulings are, there is a separate chapter for mahsur and masdood, the one who is who can't continue by himself, or someone who is prevented from continuing by himself. Okay, I'll take this and we'll complete our session today. Ruling number 13. إذا كان للحج طريقان أبعدهما مأمون والأقرب غير مأمون لم يسقط وجوب الحج. There are two paths to Hajj. Let's say you have one airline has short transit, one airline has long transit. A bit difficult, but not that serious difficulty and hardship. Okay, so, or path, one is secured path. So secured flight with the guarantee no cancellation has long transit. The flights which they cancel, I don't want to mention names to promote flights and airlines and demote airlines. So if you're traveling on an airline where the transit is short, but most of the time they delay, and you might lose your connection, and you might be pushed on another flight after 2 or 3 days, after your Hajj days are over, for example. So you have two paths. One is not secure, one is secure. Because we said you could be prevented by flight being cancelled. That's also like masdood. Now you can't have, you don't have kun fayakun power, alakazam, alakazum, boom, you're now open your eye and you're in Makkah, like Asif bin Barkhiya's powers, you see. So you don't have that kind of, you have to take the natural causes, and the natural causes, the one is short flight, cheaper, but problems might happen. One is long transit, longer route, but problems might not happen. You're secured, you're guaranteed you'll arrive. Okay, if not, they will find any other airline, put you in and let you arrive Jeddah. إذا كان للحج طريقان, if the Hajj, if going for Hajj had two routes, two paths, أبعدهما مأمون, the farthest was secured, والأقرب غير مأمون, and the closest route was insecure, not secured. لم يسقط وجوب الحج. Hajj will not be deactivated. Hajj will not be become unobligated. Okay, it will not drop off. The obligation will not fall. بل وجوب الذهاب من الطريق المأمون وإن كان أبعد. So وجب الذهاب. Sorry. You have to, but you have to go for Hajj. It will be obligatory to go for Hajj from the secured route, even if that secured route was the farthest route. Ruling number 14, inshallah, in our upcoming session. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم